Welcome to Let's Write This Movie, where we write a screenplay
while sharing the process with the internet.
I am your screenwriter, René Garcia.
And I'm your collaborator, Brian Glass.
Now, let's write this movie. And it's always nice to start the recording on your laughter because it makes it sound like we're having fun and this isn't work. This isn't pure drudgery.
You're the one who does the work, man.
Oh, right. That's why you laugh. Why is this man smiling?
I'm the guy with the red pen.
That's
it's easy
right.
for me.
Did you get new red pens, Brian?
I did.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
We are well prepared.
Totally, man.
Well prepared, well produced. So, Brian, you were going to tell me a story about technology.
A technological story. So we're using Zoom, and it's kind of a standing meeting. So whenever I join in, there's a pop-up that comes over your apartment. So I can't see your face until I actually click to join with computer audio. And as soon as that happens, I saw this, Yeah,
because I've just been watching you. I can see you, and you're like doing, you're getting ready. Your face is all like loose and neutral.
Yes, not smiling yet.
Not smiling.
Nothing to laugh at.
And then there I am. It's kind of like, it's voyeuristic, Brian. My 5 seconds of voyeurism that I indulge in.
Glad to let you in, man.
Renee, what's the name of my meeting room, Brian?
I have no idea.
Oh, Mr. Boombastic.
Is it? It just says your meeting is starting. I never know.
So you don't have to click a link?
I click a link to the website and it goes, it's your meeting is to me 9160644. I shouldn't say. I guess.
Don't say that. We're going to have party crashers. This ain't no party line, Brian.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, mystery caller.
Exactly.
Who are you?
Exactly.
And how do you know we're recording at this time of day? Well, that's why we record at 2 a.m. West Coast time.
Yeah. So I'm so tired and drinking coffee all the time.
Right. I did not know we were recording today.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have a normal cadence for our loyal viewers, and I think we would be remiss to miss a week. And even if this is an unusual episode, you're so bright now, Brian. Thank you for the white background.
You're welcome.
And even if this is an unusual episode, I still think it will be relevant to the project and something that our loyal viewer will be interested to hear.
I made a thumbnail for Dave last week, and I don't think it made it onto
Steve.
For Steve.
Yeah. No, I put it up afterward.
Oh, okay.
I hope it's been updated. I haven't put it up on the site yet. So, I guess. Well, okay. Let's have a little more banter. So, Brian, how was your week? How was your? Okay, no. You know what? The banter is relevant to the preamble. So the banter will have to follow the preamble.
I'm really glad you've got this worked out because I'm going to be doing this whole show on the fly.
Oh yeah, no. So am I. I, Brian. So anyway, everybody, it is the holiday season. These are the the back-to-back weeks of celebration, Christmas and New Year's, and so it's really busy. Not only is it busy in the corporate America jobs that Brian and I have, because end of the year, end of the month, people are trying to make their sales, blah blah blah. So you got all these last minute things going on, and then you have, you're short staffed because people are taking their vacation at this time as well, because for some people it's slow, which is weird, right? Some parts of the business, it's like, stress. And then other parts of the business, I take my vacation at this time.
Yeah.
So it's either really busy or really dead. And, it's a little bit of both for me. So that's the day job part. The personal life part is you got to plan all the parties. You got to help people set up and then tear down and all of that. It's a big to-do. Well, maybe for some. It is for me. And that's... So even though my weekend obviously it started on Saturday and it was going to extend through Tuesday, Christmas Day. I didn't really feel like I had any rest until I got home on Christmas Day. Like everything up to that point was just like helping my family get ready to celebrate and then helping clean up.
Yeah. That's why it's good to live remote. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Very low key.
I do plan to live in the mountains one day, Brian, in a shack that has broadband. As long as I have...
How are you going to get your crazy fast, terabyte or whatever it is
as long as Google Fiber can get routed up there.
Hey, Google?
Yeah.
Where's the most remote place in the United States that you have available? Contiguous, please.
Yeah. Exactly. They're everywhere, bro. Come on.
They are not.
I'll be in like the Sahara Desert. I'm going to see, an Ethernet cable or port wall socket thing. That'll be Google Fiber. We are where you are because we know where you are.
I guess if you wait long enough,
Yeah. It'll just jack directly into my brain if we wait long enough, Brian.
You can go into the mountains with your 10G connection. Everything will be wireless.
Right. Yeah.
It's got like it's kind of like those elevators in Hitchhiker's Guide where they kind of have a what is it, the small amount of being able to look into the future, so they know when you're going to be there, and they're waiting for you to go up and down. Remember those?
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah. So that's the ability that is given to elevators to make them more efficient. The same thing will happen. It'll be like predictive internet usage. You'll go to type something and it'll be showing up before you can even finish typing it.
Yeah.
That's when you're moving to the mountains, buddy. In other words, it's going to be a little while.
I know. Porn again. Oh well, it's here. I guess I have to watch it.
Technically, I didn't type it.
Exactly.
So if it's here, let's see what's on the.
So instead of having browser histories, we'll have browser futures.
There you go.
God, I got to get through so much porn before I can get to the thing I need to research. Oh well.
Exactly.
Let's get through it.
Wow, this unexpected ep is going in an unexpected direction.
I'm just riffing now, Brian. This is good. It's like you gotta make up something interesting on the spot. Really test your vocabulary, cognitive skills, and enunciation.
Pronunciation.
Exactly.
All those patience.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Why are we having this kind of episode today? Mainly,
let's explain what this type of episode even means.
Oh, we're just going to talk. We're going to look back. We're going to kind of talk about the future. We're going to talk about how we feel about the project. Just get some things off our chest and, just riff for the most part. We're not going to belabor this. Once the material gets a little cold, then I'm going to start plugging our web assets, and then we're going to call it a night.
So we don't have new pages, in other words, this week to review.
No new pages. I did write new pages.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of rewriting. I think it's a lot stronger. Like the things that were points of contention in the last episode have largely been addressed, and it's a little more dynamic and a little more honest. So I don't know if you want me to kind of like scoop the next episode by talking about it. No, you want
Not at all.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No, not at all. It's just interesting, since we're doing this, of course, I listen to a lot of other screenwriters and see kind of what they're doing. I'll tell you, man, I don't think there's anyone who's doing what you're doing. I think the consensus is that most people will write kind of in chunks. They'll write parts that they want to write, but they won't write it from start to finish the way you're doing. That's a really tough thing to do, at least for the majority of people that I've heard. It's just not their process. And the fact that you're doing it, I'm like, wow, I'm just wondering if that's, I guess you said that is kind of your process anyway, but if not, I don't know how we could even do this show. You know what I mean? Like if we were doing with some other screenwriter who had a process where they just kind of like you said, where you have those 4 or 5 major scenes that you want to write about and you want to get there and you know how to get there. But if you wrote like number 3 you just got inspired and you wrote that one. And then we go back to the beginning and wow, the way that some of these other people write, it wouldn't make for a good show is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for doing that, man.
Well, I think this is the only way we can have a show about this process is by writing it chronologically. Otherwise, it's not, in my mind, it's not interesting as an audience member who wants to be part of the writing process. If they don't know where we're going and where we've been, I don't know how they could contribute. Like, I try to imagine myself as, let's say, a script doctor. Let's say my screenwriting, my possible future screenwriting career only amounts to being, oh, who's that guy who's really good at zombie movies? Yeah, let's get him in here to kind of punch this up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can still do a good job, but, if they say, yeah, we need this scene punched up, and I don't know anything about the characters, I don't know about the history, I don't know what they've done, what we're trying to get to, I just need to punch up a couple of disparate random scenes. I mean, like I said, I think I can still do an adequate job, but I know I could do a way better job if someone said, okay, Renee, this is the entire story.
Yeah.
Fix this.
Yeah. I think that's usually what they would do, though.
I don't know,
and
man.
I think there's nothing wrong with that career at all. I think that'd be great for you. Because if you're the guy who can punch up zombie movies, you're probably the guy who can punch up any movie.
Okay.
Quite honestly.
I don't know, man. I feel like, do you remember the writer's strike in 2009-ish?
Yeah.
And everything became reality TV. There was just a new reality television show like every month. They're bringing back Temptation Island. Do you remember that one?
I remember it coming back, yes.
Oh, well, it's coming back. I think it's going to be on USA. But it was just like the degradation of humanity. And then you had all of these fake celebrities. I think that's when the mystique of celebrity died. And when celebrity lost its cachet. Is that how you pronounce that word, cachet?
Yeah.
Why is it you clear your cache?
I think they have different meanings. That's why. I think they're,
Okay.
Yeah. They're spelled the same way. Although maybe cachet is spelled with an accent, is it?
I have no idea. I've never seen it spelled.
It might be. Like Renee.
Well, if it has an accent aigu.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, say it, Brian. Sing it. Baguette.
Oh, baguette.
Gerald Depardieu. It's funny.
Voila.
This is why you need to have friends who consume a lot of media, a lot of culture, because it helps expand your knowledge of culture, and you just enjoy life that much more. And even though...
Did I give you Flight of the Conchords?
You cut it into... It was a soundbite in one of our Angel podcasts, and I was like, this is hilarious. What the hell is this? And even though I only know that one little bit, I expanded in my brain to be a complete skit, and it's hilarious to me.
That's great.
So...
Yeah.
So how was your holiday week, Brian?
Pretty busy, actually. I'm definitely in that camp where a lot of things are coming to a head. So, and I've got a big week. The second week of January, I'm going to be gone for a conference. So I'll be gone and have to do a lot of prep for that. Plus some other clients I'm doing work for. So yeah, this is a very busy time of year for me. More than usual.
Gotcha.
But it's okay. It's okay. Get some family time today as well. And with the long weekend, it should be good. And yeah.
Okay.
It's just cold, man. Cold.
It was cold today. Here's the thing. A couple of things. It was very cold today. And I don't know why that made me think of what I wanted to say next, which is I did nothing today. I had one thing planned in the morning. I was like, I'm going to wake up early and get ready to do this. And I more or less stuck to that schedule. And then when I got home, I was just fixated on this thing all day that I didn't do anything else. And then by the time it was time to do something, because I thought you were on board with this podcast instead of having the kind of confusion that we did. But I'm glad it worked out. I thought, well, I'm now only an hour and a half away from having to set up for this. So Then we just eat something and then prepare for this. And then luckily I had a stay of execution. I mean, I had a little break.
Reprieve.
So, I got in a little bit of video games.
I'm glad, man. Yeah, but otherwise for me, it's just been, it's been a good week.
It's good.
Yeah, productive.
Yeah.
Nothing really exciting. Just lots of finishing, tying up some loose ends, closing out some projects, which is kind of cool, actually, now that I think about it.
It's nice to feel accomplished.
Yeah. It's nice, especially when you're doing something on the web and you get to see it published and it's done. There it is. It's good.
So to bring this back, well, actually, let's just talk about it now because I know I'll forget to bring it up later. What are your plans for New Year's?
Here, man. I don't like to drive around on New Year's. People are nuts out there.
No, of
so
course.
we're staying here.
Yeah.
We've got a park behind us that shoots off fireworks. Go in the backyard, and that's easy, man. Watch some movies before and after, and totally relax.
You're gonna stay up?
Oh yeah, always, dude. I'm up till 2 or 3 every morning.
Oh
anyway,
well, I mean, as a family, you know what I mean? Like, do you guys?
My wife. My son's too young.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's out at 8, so
All right.
he's not going to see it for probably a few more years.
Yeah, I miss the old. Well, I don't know if I miss it necessarily, but I reminisce. Is that considered missing when you reminisce? Can you reminisce about things you don't miss?
No.
Okay, then I guess I miss the old days. Then, Brian.
Okay.
When I was a kid, and this is growing up in a traditional Filipino household. There was no, they're too young, let them go to sleep. It was, it's New Year's, everybody bang the pots. And then like my aunt would actually go outside of her home. We would celebrate at her house. She would go outside of her home and like, just like out, in front of her house, just like banging pots. Happy New Year! Regardless of if other people were trying to sleep because they had to go to work the next day or whatever. Just, it was a simpler time.
It'd be funnier if you said she goes out there regardless of what day of the year it is. Every day is Happy New Year.
Well, yes, that would be funny.
Crazy aunt.
Exactly.
Well, the only exception I made was when I took my son to his first concert. 7 years old, I took him out and we were out till almost midnight, and then he fell asleep, but 2 minutes into the car ride back home. But
yeah.
Had to stay up late that night. They're not built for it. Plus, he's a morning person. He loves being up, 6 or 7 in the morning every day.
Every kid is a morning person, Brian.
Really?
It's weird.
I never was.
Okay, well, maybe not every kid, but a lot of kids. I'll say most kids. Like, most kids don't want to be asleep. I think it's this kind of, like, innate, I don't want to be missing out on life. There's so much life to experience still, right? Like, what does this do? What does that do? Does this hurt? Yes, it does hurt. What else hurts me? Let's touch that, too. You know what I mean? There's just life to experience, TV to watch, all this other stuff to do. And then once you can like extrapolate that experience to other things, then you become me. And you're like, no, I know what that. I've been shocked before. I don't need to touch that. You know what I mean? And then you just want to sleep. And you just want to sleep permanently.
That was a nice just synopsis of your life, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was, Brian.
Capsule
Yes, it is.
description.
Did we already have this discussion about not having anything to look forward to in life? Did we talk about this?
Just you and I, but not on the air.
Oh, just you and I. Then let's not talk about it again.
Okay. Up to you, man.
But that's a nice dour note to to insert into this conversation, right? I have nothing to look forward to.
Moving on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the first 100 pages. Hey, great.
So, okay. Let's get back to that. And since you asked, before we get to that, actually, since you asked, I will be doing nothing for New Year's. I did
not ask.
I know. I'm being a dick. I'm being a dick, Brian. I'm being a dick. So,
René.
Yeah.
You got any plans for New Year's?
My plan, thank you for asking, Brian, is
What are
to
friends for?
go to sleep. Go to sleep. You should see what my enemies are like. Go to sleep early, as I normally do, and turn off my phone so that the few people who know I exist and care that I exist cannot reach out to me and disturb the one thing that brings me a modicum of joy.
Muffled fireworks at midnight? Sleep, Brian, sleep.
Sleep. Permanent sleep.
I disagree. I disagree with many things you just said, but okay.
What's wrong? The sleeping.
Lots
You
of
don't like the
things that bring
sleeping?
No, no, that's great. I love that too. But lots of things that bring you joy. I bring you infinite joy. I bring you finite joy.
You only
There
know
are times-
what I tell
there
you.
are times I bring you joy. I brought you joy once or twice.
She was fantastic.
I knew a girl named Joy once.
Exactly. So did
Yeah.
I.
Sheer in the name. Sorry, wife.
Wow. Hey
Yeah.
now. Hey now.
Hey, now.
All right. So let's get back to the task at hand. Why
Please.
are there no pages this week? Is it because I'm lazy? Not necessarily. 2 days. 2 days of my week were eaten up by celebration, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that sucked. And then I had to still do my freelance thing, so that ate up more time.
Yeah.
Oh God. And then by the time I got to, by the time I was able to sit down and start writing, you had texted me, this target that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but now you incepted it, Brian. You incepted it into my brain that I needed to hit 100 pages.
excited.
And I was like, he did the 100 emoji and all of that. I was like, oh God. Oh no. And I thought, you know what? I'm pretty pumped. I think I could do it. But then as I was writing,
Yeah.
I hit this creative, not a wall necessarily, but how to explain it? Like a creative, dense pocket. And what I mean by that is, a wall, it's like that's something you can't really comprehend. It's just like this flat thing, but you have no sense of like the depth of it or whatever. It's just something that's just an obstacle to you. Whereas this creative denseness was something that I could see clearly, but I would have to just get through, right? It's like having a giant pile of spaghetti in front of you. You know what spaghetti is, and you know how to eat it, and you know that you can finish it, but it's just a lot of spaghetti, right? I'm just coming up with these analogies on the fly, Brian. I can't vouch for how good they are.
You had
Say-
creative molasses in front of you.
There you go. And so, well, I like spaghetti. I don't know if I like molasses necessarily, so I think that's why.
It's just from as good as it gets. It's the way that
Oh,
Edison says it. Says it. Molasses. Go ahead.
yeah. And so I didn't want to just like rush through it, and because I knew I would have to write it out, right? I needed to get it all out on paper. I just didn't have the time to do it. Like I could see how it all fit, but it's still the process of putting the puzzle pieces together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most apt analogy. It's like, you see how the puzzle pieces are shaped, and you know that you have all the puzzles to make it work. It's just a matter of, inserting them correctly. And, that still takes time, right? And for me as a writer, it's difficult to be so excited about finding a complete picture within this puzzle, and still keep it all in my head long enough to sit down and write. Like, I need space to work it all out. But I know I can put it together. All of the tools, all of the pieces I need are there. I just need the space to do it. And I didn't think I would do the writing justice in the day that I had to write. So there we are, Brian. That's why we have no pages today. Was I too long-winded for you, Brian? Are you hypnotized, mesmerized?
It just sounded like you needed a break. But I mean, your way sounded nice too.
Not necessarily, man. Not necessarily. I mean, if you looked at the amount of pages I rewrote. Were you checking something there, Brian?
Negative.
Oh.
If you playing with the pens.
Oh, nice. If you looked at the pages I rewrote, I still wrote a substantial amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For this, like since last week.
Yeah. And I had to cut out a bunch of stuff that I was like, oh man, this is all just wasted pages. It's all cut out now.
Yeah. It's gonna get cut out now or in the second draft though. Anyway, right?
I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
I felt like what I was kind of doing this math in my head of what was possibly going on with you, and I felt like you were probably cutting and adding, and I don't remember exactly where we ended up last time. Was it like 90 or
91?
91. Yeah, I felt like you were going to be 91 last week and 92 this week, but a lot of it's new. You know what I mean? So I'm like, well, that doesn't feel so good. But the reality is, you probably got a lot tightened up.
That is almost exact. I think I am a 92 actually. Yeah.
That's kind of where what I thought was happening.
Yeah.
Which is totally understandable. So I probably shouldn't have texted out the 100 emoji.
No, it's all good. It's nice to have
Over
goals.
50.
We'll have that be the goal for the new year when we return. Come out swinging. Come back strong.
Yeah. That's going to be a long show then. Because that's probably going to be a lot of new material to read.
Yeah. Yeah, it will. It's fine.
That's all right.
So the other thing, and I'm going to try to keep it vague, is that part of this creative denseness that I'm in, I've found like an interesting and complementary history for some of the side characters, some of the supporting cast, that adds like some cool texture to their characters. And it's going to force me to retcon some of this stuff. Meaning,
is this the good guys or bad guys?
Well, in my mind, they're all good guys, Brian. They just have competing motivations,
So is it the good guys or the
I guess it's the bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like them better.
I think you're going to like them more now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, because
so there's going to be some past history between or among them, or
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. In the flashback, technically speaking, I have to resolve a lot of things, right? Like, how does Long learn English? Right? I mean, these are like problems I have to solve.
You asking that, or you tell me that?
No, I have these solved. Right? Like, how does he discover?
I'm not asking if you do it, but should you do it?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
Are you asked? Okay, let me just make a comment, because in the context of the movie, it's never bothered me where he learned. Just that he learned eventually, somewhere he learned. So you're going to tell us, which is great, and it may be something that's cool and additive. But as of now, as a reader, I'm not missing it. Just to let you know.
I hear you. But as I said in episode 1, Brian, I tend to write complicated scripts. And I don't know if this necessarily means it's complicated, the fact that I explain the history. But I think it adds complexity, that it's there and it's organic and it makes sense.
I mean, I already know what the answer is because we talked about it. He was watching soaps. That's how every foreigner learns how to.
Of course. Sesame Street.
Soaps.
He just starts slapping people all the time.
Dying, reappearing as another character. It's his twin.
I was going to say that, his twin. Someone gets possessed,
Right. Well, I look forward to seeing how it all plays out in the script. And I
Yeah.
think the one thing that's nice is that if you're creating additional backstory for some of the supporting characters, I always think that's cool. And if you are adding some interesting layers to Long and his journey, I think that's cool. And I think that if the script is too long, when we go back and look at places to trim it, we can really leave all those juicy things you put in there, and maybe trim some of the stuff that's not as interesting out.
Yeah.
So it's like, to me, that's just, you're adding more options for us to choose from later.
Sure,
That's not bad
sure.
at all.
What's going to happen is that there will just be a lot less dialogue. It'll be a lot of uh-huh, or just like squeezing in more, filling out those 4-line paragraphs of description with how someone nods or something. Nods in agreement.
They look at each other knowingly.
Yeah, exactly. Knowingly. The knowingly. I love it. He gets it.
That's a page. Okay, well, that's cool. I think that's going to be good. So is that going to be in this next round?
Well, here's what's going to happen, Brian. Most likely, I'm going to spend New Year's Day doing another complete overhaul of by then, hopefully 100 pages.
Wow.
So you can get 100 clean pages, and I don't know if we need to necessarily go over everything. So this is, okay, yeah. Next weekend is already the new year, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know if we necessarily have to go through all 100 pages and have it just be this marathon episode. We can just do the last 20 pages.
I'm looking at the calendar right now.
That's why your face is so dark.
It is. If you want to do a marathon, I would hope that would be the week after.
Oh, okay.
Just because, timing-wise, it's going to be tough for me.
No marathon, Brian. No marathon.
Not next week.
Yeah.
Week after, whatever you want, dude.
We can have another banter
All-nighter.
episode next week. Who cares?
No, I'll have time to do a regular episode, but not a 3-hour version.
So here's an unrelated question, Brian. This is what I was fixated on today. My lease in my current apartment is coming up, and I have the opportunity to move to another apartment complex that's nearby. But it's a little more expensive, but it's a 2-bedroom, and I would have an actual room to for my office, if you will, instead of here in this catch-all living room / kitchen / dining room / everything room.
Right.
That I've turned it into. But it's a little farther from work. There are some trade-offs. It's, like I said, a little, I don't know if I said it actually. It's a little more expensive by about $100. And that all adds up. So, and then there's the hassle of moving. God, who wants to move?
Worst.
Yeah, the worst. Now, the only reasons I'm even considering this is I would get a garage for my car so I don't have to deal with horrible, inconsiderate neighbors, A.
Yeah.
And then B, the particular unit I've picked out, it would be a little quieter in terms of being so close to the freeway. And then, of course, it's a 2-bedroom apartment, so I would actually have, I could control the sound a little better within the space, so that when I'm yelling or whatever, as I'm getting into the performance, I could actually put up some of the sound dampening foam or whatever on the walls, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, what do you think, Brian? With those cons and pros and cons that I've given you, do you think it would be, what would you do? Would you move or would you stay?
Boy. Honestly, when I heard you say garage, to me it trumped the rest of it, because that is a cool feature to have for another $100 a month, $1,200 a year for some peace of mind. That no one's going to ding your car up. That's not a bad situation on its own. So if you told me that there's another part, or there's an ability just to get a garage where you're at for another $100 a month, it might be worth it. So just the
Right.
fact that you're upgrading, that's not a bad deal. So, I mean, the move is a pain. Right?
Yeah, the move is a pain. The apartment is not as new, so the fixtures are older. The shower is not as wide. The kitchen is tiny compared, relative to what I have now. All of that, right? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
You love your car.
well, A, there's that, but then B, this is the devil I know, right?
Yeah.
I know the devils I live next to. I don't know what the devils are like at the new place.
We can assume that they're devilish, though.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because they're people. They're people, Brian. They're people who are not me. Therefore, they're awful.
Why don't you just move inland?
Just move inland.
Yeah.
How does that make it any better?
Hey, get a house.
Oh.
Rent a house.
I don't know, man. I just feel like a house is... I mean, I don't know what renting a house is like, so maybe that would be better. But I'm always encouraged to buy property, and I just feel like, isn't that just like more of a hassle? And then now you are trapped in one place if your environment goes to hell, right? Isn't it difficult to get out of that property? Like, yeah, you got to sell it. You got to, you know what I mean?
It's just paperwork, man.
It's just paperwork. What about time? What about finding the buyer?
Same thing would happen if you were in an apartment and couldn't afford the apartment anymore. You still got lease issues to deal with, and to me, it's not that big of a deal, especially in this market. It's a seller's market right now.
All right.
So it's not, and it's been that way for a while. Who knows what's going to be like in the future? But
that's what I'm saying, Brian.
I rented many houses.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy.
All right. Okay.
Just saying. If you're going to make the move and have to drive to work instead of walking,
then I should get a house. I should rent a house.
If you're able to work from home like 2 or 3 days a week, then it might be worth it.
Okay. I will think about it. Anyway, so you're saying that given the two options, I should move because there's a garage.
I think that's a huge plus for you. I think the peace of mind that you get from that would be worth it.
Okay.
And all the other things are cool. The fact that you're getting your second room. Like you said, you love the way it looks where you're at now. And if it's not quite up to spec, then so be it. But if it's a decent trade-off in terms of standard of life inside there, then I think it might be worth it.
All right. Awesome. Well, then I will make my decision tomorrow, I think.
I can do some hunts for you.
What do you mean?
For homes?
No, it's here in California?
Yeah. How is it to look? Just curious.
It's up to you. It's fine.
Anything for you, buddy. Come on.
Thanks, bro.
You know it.
So, well, let's get back to the script. Do you have any thoughts, Brian? Like looking back over what we've done, where we're going? How do you feel about being the collaborator on this project? Did you think we'd get here?
Totally did, of course. Yeah, but even though I knew we were going to get here, I had this I did get pretty excited when I saw how close we were to 100.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like since we hit 50, it just feels like it's gone by in a flash. I've been really happy with everything as far as the quality. I know we had a couple tiny missteps, but I mean, within the entire scope, I'm like, this is such a cool story. This is everything I hoped it was going to be. And the process has been really rewarding from my end, at least. So yeah, I mean, I can't speak for you is all I'm saying. No, you're right. Your instinct was right, Brian. It's been absolutely horrible for me. So next year, do you mind bowing out next year? Because I feel a solo show coming on. Maybe I should ask you, Renee, how's it been working with a collaborator for the first time?
It is good. It's good. I think it's always good to have someone to bounce ideas off of, and this is how I've typically written in the past. In my very first screenplay, it was sci-fi / fantasy. What am I saying? Did I say fantasy? Fantasy. I feel like my enunciation is just terrible tonight. Sci-fi slash fantasy slash action movie. And I mean, that took me a while to write. Because it was my first screenplay and I didn't really know what I was doing, even though I read some books and I was following John August and kind of, he was still blogging back then and you could email him and he would respond to me sometimes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. This was before he turned his site into a podcast dump or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. In any event, so I was learning slowly, and at the time I was working customer service tech support for a bank, and I would just spend my nights writing this script, and I'd step out on the balcony and I would invite a good friend over, and I would always force discussion about my screenplay into our conversation. And, he was a good enough friend that he didn't mind and he would bounce ideas off of me he would let me bounce my ideas off him back at me and, get his feedback. So I think it's important to not write in a vacuum or a silo, whatever you want to call it, just to make sure that as a writer, there is the danger of convincing yourself that something is good because you didn't know how else to write yourself out of the situation in the story. So there we are, Brian.
Yeah. So reality check.
Yeah. Now, the other danger is just because someone says your idea is bad doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And so I think this goes back to something we talked about way early, which is knowing the story you want to tell and understanding who you are collaborating with. I don't know that I have, it's not an exact science, right? Like, at the end of the day, I think about, like, what if you and I both love this story, we're both very happy with it, it gets made into a movie, but audiences hate it. Are they right and we're wrong? You know? So it's hard to say. Who are you going to please at the end of the day? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be the audience? I don't know.
I mean, there's so many things that go into that question. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There's so many things. Like, you could write the perfect screenplay, and in the wrong hands, it could be made into a piece of crap, no matter how good it is.
Okay. All things being equal, let's just say that there is something about the story that we can definitely say, oh, the screenwriter, that was the screenwriter's decision, and that's the thing that turned off audiences. I don't know what to say. It's like, well, this is how I wanted it to go,
Right. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, when you say that, I think back to the prequels, the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah.
And the decisions that were made by Lucas, which really frustrated me. Where he took the story really frustrated me. I mean, obviously, I didn't care for the movies. I felt like they were flat and needlessly complicated and uninteresting in a lot of ways. But he tried to make up for that with bright colors and interesting looking CG, which didn't at all work for me. And treating them just as standalone films, I thought they were fairly poorly written. He was trying to write something with some political intrigue, within this world that he had created, and I just felt like it failed on that level. And I don't think any director really could have made that any better. So I think you're right. There are definitely times when you have to point to the screenwriter there. That being said, I can almost guarantee you that no one had the balls to stand up to the guy and say, this is a bad decision. What are you doing? There's no one checking him at all.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a mistake. I mean, that's the mistake that, who is it? Is it Richard Rodriguez? Where he does like his own writing and his own editing?
Robert
Rodriguez?
Yeah. Richard Rodriguez is the Night Stalker.
Okay.
As we talked about in a previous episode too.
I still can't learn that thing. But if Robert, then I must have already made this point. If Robert had just left someone else to do his editing, I think it would be a lot better, because the writing was actually okay, but I feel like a lot of his editing choices are very poor.
Give me an example. We have not had this conversation before.
I'm trying to think of
Machete.
he did Machete was actually good. His
Never
early
saw
stuff
it.
was good.
Okay.
It was fun, but he did like Once Upon a Time in Mexico, right?
Yes.
And it was like
Wait, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. What was that about?
that was like a sequel to it. I'm gonna have to break our thing. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Break our thing.
Yeah, don't look at.
Oh, don't look at it. Are we talking about? Is it? You mean El Mariachi?
No, the it's after that.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez wrote Once Upon a Time in Mexico, because it was like El Mariachi, and then there was the second one,
Desperado, right?
Desperado, and then Once Upon a Time in Mexico that had like
Johnny Depp. So
Johnny Depp in it.
Yeah, that was the third. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was really terrible.
Yeah, it was terrible. Yeah. Are you a Mexican or a Mexicant?
So bad.
Yeah, no, it was awful, and I was hoping it was going to be awesome because, you had Antonio Banderas, and it was like, Salma Hayek was in it again, and it was just
First
like,
two were great.
They're going to recapture the magic, but then it became silly,
right?
And so, yeah, go ahead.
But I think if you look at it though, like some of the scenes really play pretty well, and he wrote it, and I know he directed it, so I don't know if he edited it or not, but there's some really cool ideas in there, and I thought that a different director would have brought that to life a lot better than he did, even though visually he's really good. So either if he stuck to just the direction, because he's got a really nice visual vocabulary, or if he just stuck to the writing. But to do both unchecked, I think is a mistake. I think I've gotten a little off of topic though.
Okay.
My point is that you're right. There are definitely times when the writer has to be held accountable. And so if that happened, I guess the only thing I can say is I've read your other scripts, and you're not the guy who's going to get pigeonholed into the Western / horror genre. You know what I mean? You're kind of, you've got romantic comedies, you've got
action.
Fantasy. Yeah, it's cool stuff. And it's just like, I don't know. To me, if something doesn't connect with someone, it doesn't mean it's a death toll for the whole career.
No, yeah, and I think we, the discussion has kind of like veered off from the point of what we're talking about, which is who ultimately is right in our collaborative partnership, right? Like the danger of deciding, Brian made a good point here. I feel like his argument is more persuasive than mine in defending this piece of dialogue or description or whatever. Do I then say, well, okay, let me change it to, so that Brian likes it? And maybe I still like it, right? But let's say I liked how it was before, but because I didn't defend it satisfactorily to myself, I guess, I decided, well, let me go with Brian because he made the better argument. Does that make me wrong?
Simple answer. No,
Okay.
I think there's a simple answer to that. The simple answer is that you're the arbiter. You're the one who's responsible ultimately. So you have to make the decision. So I would say that either make the change because you think it's right, or if you don't want to make the change, then look at the underlying reason and see if there's something that needs to be adjusted there. And if you still feel like it doesn't, then so it is. I mean, it's your decision and your script, and I would, if I felt that you're making an actual mistake, leaving something out, I feel it's my responsibility to say, listen, I know you didn't make this change. I really feel it's not working. Let me explain why, maybe in a different way or something else. And if you still, couldn't grok to it, then it's your decision.
Okay.
It's your name on it.
No, that's fine. But then we add the other stakeholder in this, which is the audience. If the audience doesn't like it, was I wrong?
You ever seen an audience in the internet that is all saying one thing?
Well, no. All I'm saying is, I mean, if, let's say, the majority, the vast majority, or even a very large plurality, they do not like something within the script that I can say that we can both clearly attribute to me, to the screenwriter, was I wrong?
Then I don't think you're wrong necessarily, but I think you might want to look at that underlying reason. Maybe something hasn't been foundationally strong enough to make the decision you wanted to make, or something. Then I think you have to make it work to where not everyone, but I think you need to make it work to where you allay those issues to some extent.
And to your point, I'm probably describing in a situation that would never come up in real life. This is not a practical situation, right? Where an audience can clearly say, "Oh, that was definitely the writer,"
right?
You know what I mean?
Just listen to Brian. Listen to Brian. Oh, I could just get all my friends to write that.
Exactly. Well, you just get all your friends' credentials. Let me just log in for you. I gotta copy and paste something really fast. Okay.
Change a word or two.
Yeah.
Why aren't you listening to Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Renee, youth.
So, I'm sorry. Before I move on, is there anything else you wanted to add on this topic?
No, I think we got that covered.
It's funny. I can't remember who said this. I don't even know if I ever knew the actual attribution, but there's a quote about success or something to that effect. Is the secret to success is being able to hide your sources or the people you copied from, something to that effect. Right? You ever heard of this? A version of that? I know I'm like butchering it. But I can clearly see where certain things influenced me, if I, or sources I directly just lifted from and inserted into my movie to create this whole new thing. So I don't know if it's necessarily plagiarism, but it's definitely like, oh, okay, I can feel like, wow, I just like picked that up and put it in this other thing, this other property. And, we talked about this when we watched Constantine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the things I took from that are not necessarily direct ripoffs, but, it's like, would I have come up with that idea on my own to, like, name, like, the cigarettes something cool?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe eventually, but at the time, no. So, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Am I not original? So that's a crisis I face. But the reason I bring this up is I was watching The Green Mile. Have you seen The Green Mile? Michael Clark Duncan with Tom Hanks. It's a pretty good movie. Frank Darabont. I can almost tell when it's a Frank Darabont movie because there's a particular actor that seems to appear in all of his work. And unfortunately, I don't note this actor's name. But he's in all the Frank Darabont movies I've seen. He's been in them. So I'm like, did Frank Darabont direct this movie? This guy's in it. And anyway. So Green Mile, Michael Clark Duncan, he has this ability to heal people, right? And when he does, he exhales. If people have read the book, they probably know what I'm talking about, and I'm going to poorly describe it, but he exhales what seem like, I don't know, like black dust particles or gnats or like little insects or something, right? Do you remember this, Brian? Oh, okay. Well,
bad memory.
Okay, that's fine. This is what happens to him. Like he takes this illness or pain or something from people who are suffering, and he internalizes it and then spits out like these bugs.
Excreting.
Yeah. Anyway, I look at that and I'm like, is that why one of my characters suffers the same kind of thing in this other movie? Like I had forgotten that I had lifted that thing and put it in my movie. And I don't even know that that is actually the case, but I can totally see that happening because it's very similar.
Right.
Anyway, I just wanted to share that story.
Renee, it's just, I always go back to the idea of a rom-com
Okay.
at that point, because with a typical rom-com, they're gonna, they're not together in the beginning and they're gonna get together in the end. And how they get there is the interesting part, and it's the journey we're there to watch.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're going to get together is never a disappointment, because that's not ever what it's about. And I think that borrowing from what you've seen in the past, or being inspired by things like that in the past, you're going to interpret it your own way. You're going to spin it your own way. And I think that having completely original ideas is tough. You know what I mean? We're always kind of like bringing some sort of amalgamation of what we know. You just happen to have a really broad, like library to choose to pick from. You know what I mean? So I think that you bringing those different elements in it's never a bad thing from that standpoint. And if anyone does actually recognize something that you've done from something else, hey man, that's just comfort food. That goes down really easily. People like that. Something about this I like, and I can't put my finger on it.
As long as I only rip off good movies, right?
What I'm saying, or at least the good part of bad movies. But
there you go.
But there's how many movies now are getting rebooted? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to me, everything's original that's not a freaking reboot or a sequel.
Right.
It's like, it's all good. I like to meet new characters, and this day and age of seeing the same things over and over drives me crazy. So I love original, characterizations, and just the way they enact whatever trope or whatever, whatever it's going to be. I mean, there are certain types of movies, you know what I mean? And the fact that you're bringing kind of two genres together, I think is cool. I think that genre bending can be really good and sometimes really, really bad. But I think in this way that you've done it is good, because you're kind of paying tribute to both. I don't like the ones where it's kind of silly and over the top, like the
Shaun of the Dead.
I like Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah, so do I.
Actually,
One of my favorites.
I shouldn't say that. That was really good.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking of the one, was it Cowboys and Aliens or something?
Oh, you're talking about mashups.
Yeah, the mashups.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, Cowboys and Aliens. I didn't see it. It looked bad.
What I saw was horrible. Like, I couldn't watch too much of it. Just horrific. It's terrible. Or even like the Wild Wild West one. Was that the one?
Oh, yeah, Will Smith, Kevin Branagh.
Yeah. Pretty good cast.
Is that his name? Kevin Branagh?
Kenneth.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jeez. In my older age, Brian.
It's happening.
Dude, I'm telling you, my weakness, my mental failing is homophones.
Oh.
And my mouth will glom onto the nearest sounding word rather than the word. And that's it bothers me. Like, if you ever hear me, or if you ever like listen to the way I speak, and if it's a little staccato, it's because I am previewing the word in my brain to make sure I don't just speak gibberish. And I can already foresee 15 years from now, let's say, where I am just saying homophones. Wow, this could be like an interesting character in a movie, right? He just says homophones. Like, I'm sure there's some kind of like mental, issue that exists where people, you know what I mean?
Sure.
That was like an episode of House or something, right? Where I think a guy, something was going on with his brain where he would say words that were related to the thing he was trying to say. And the doctors had to like puzzle it, like kind of like work it back to what he, anyway, I think that's going to happen to me, Brian.
Exciting.
It's times like that when I can like foresee the degradation of my mind and body, when I can see it clearly, that I'm glad I don't have a family. Dude, I'm telling you, I don't want to be that guy who's just like a burden to the people who cares about him.
You went from Kenneth Branagh to there very quickly, my friend.
That's how it starts, man.
It must be very, very like, a real thing that you think about quite a bit in your life.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Well, here's the thing. The average person, they experienced something that wasn't like that before in their body. Like maybe they're a little, clumsier or something, right? Or they're starting to have trouble remembering people's names or whatever it is. I think that happens, and then it's gone. Like they just move on with their day because they've already forgotten about it in 5 minutes. Now they're moving on to watching TV or going to work, driving, something like that.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, that is now, I don't want to say I have a perfect memory or total recall or eidetic memory, whatever you want to call it. But I've trained my brain to try and hang on to the things that are different, right? I think this is what makes me good at like search words and stuff like that, or like visual puzzles. Find the thing that's different in these two pictures.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And I can like do it pretty quickly, right? So when I see the thing that is out of sync in myself, like I hang on to that. Like, oh no, I keep doing that. That is a problem. Like here's a perfect example. So like when I have a cup or whatever, and I want to set it on a table or something, like I will clip the bottom of the glass or whatever instead of putting it on the table. Does that make sense? Like, no. As I'm putting it on a table, I clip, like instead of putting it down like this, I'll like clip the table. Okay. Right? And, I didn't do that before. And now it's like happening all the time. I don't know if it's like a visual thing, like I'm misjudging the height of the table or things like that. Or here's another thing I brought up with my optometrist the other day. Because I go see her once a year. My refrigerator.
Once a week would be funnier.
Huh?
Once a week would be funnier.
Exactly. Oh, it happened again, Doc. Am I old?
What's happening to me?
Exactly. So like my refrigerator door handles, I will misjudge the distance all the time. So instead of like grabbing the handle like this, right? It's whatever. I'll instead. Here's a better visual representation. So let's say this is the handle, and you would grab it, right? Instead, I'll scrape it with my fingernails like this, because I'm misjudging the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's weird, and it happens all the time. So it's just becoming like, oh man, is this what my future is going to be? Like I will never be able to play catch, or
never be able to eat leftovers.
Yeah,
can't get in the fridge.
Exactly. Where is it?
Scratch marks everywhere. I really don't know how to return us back to the point, but
what are we even talking about? Homophones?
I guess if you don't write what I tell you, you probably make a mistake.
Okay. And Wild Wild West did look a little goofy, Brian.
I actually watched that one. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wiki wah. Wiki wah wah.
No.
No?
The song was bad too.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I would always sing that.
Yeah, no. Sally Hayek looked really good though.
That's not even a homophone, bro.
It's lazy.
This is a Freudian slip of the character in my script. Anyway, Brian, so we are past.
No. You're gonna go way off, and then I'm gonna go off for a second here too. I found something that was interesting to you.
All right.
Maybe you, because of my history. Have you ever heard of the epenthetic vowels? Epenthetic.
Epenthetic?
Yeah.
Epenthetic. I can't even think of I can't even break that down into Latin, Brian. What does that mean?
It is when you add an extra vowel between consonants that don't appear in the word.
Oh,
so
okay.
Instead of Brian, you get Brian.
Or like a mischievous. I hear that all the time. Mischievous.
Oh, mischievous. Well, that's a mistake, I think, though. I think that, they're not trying to... They think that's how it's actually said.
Oh, okay. So epenthetic is when people add it for what, emphasis or...
Yeah, exactly. So the
that sounds like a neologism, Brian. Did someone just make that up to describe Okay.
I think that they've done actual science to this. Sneaky extra vowels between consonants. And the example they give is trapping, which they say is to-rapping.
To-rapping. I've never heard that. That is moronic.
That's one they gave. And it says it elongates the word and adds an extra syllable to the word. It emphasizes the word. And there's a name for this, the epenthetic vowel.
To-rapping.
Barayana.
Okay.
You ever heard Barayana?
I've never said Borian. Borian.
Not you.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, there are people who just don't know how to speak English. All right, who happen to have a lot of money for some reason.
But it was done for emphasis. Every syllable was emphasized. Barayana.
I know exactly.
I got 2 syllables in my name.
Imagine if he had someone working for him named Brianna.
Brianna.
Exactly.
Wow. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because I thought you'd appreciate that.
Oh, that's fine. Thank you,
Brian.
Shared
history.
So we are at we're over the 1 hour mark here. I'd hate to belabor this episode considering there are no new pages to discuss. Let's talk about the future. Brian, what are you looking forward to in this project? Where do you see us going? Anything else? Like future well, I guess I'll be the one to talk about future projects to work or future script ideas to work within this project. So go ahead.
That's what you think. What
does that mean?
I have ideas, man.
Oh, okay. But this is for me. This is my project.
I have ideas for you.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm not going to talk about that yet. I'm looking forward to, in the near future, I'm looking forward to reading the entire first draft through. That to me that's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what it's going to do to this discussion when we have to take the entire beast on, for like the next episodes and try and whittle it down and where do we need to attack within the script and what needs to be cut. And that's going to be an interesting process. And I've never been part of that before. And I've certainly read your stuff before and given you notes on the whole thing, but this is a little bit more in the weeds. Oh, I hate to use that one. This is a little bit more, well, I don't know what to say instead of in the weeds now. Anyway.
Stick with it.
Yeah. So, but I'm really looking forward to reading that whole script. I think that's going to be fun. It's going to bring a new dynamic to the show. I feel like you're on. Are
we going to read the whole script aloud? Like we're going to perform it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that we're going to be discussing it as a whole at that point. And that's where, it's going to be interesting to figure out how we carry on this show for that discussion. Because I feel like getting there, you mentioned once that you're kind of on a downhill at a certain point. Even though you've had some issues with this flashback, to me it's minor. I think you're well on the way, and I feel like we're going to get to the end very quickly. And I'm just kind of interested to see how it plays out, within the real time of the script rather than just the overview that I saw. But I'm really looking forward to that first large review. I think that's going to be a huge milestone. And I'm also looking forward to kind of what happens afterwards, after we really brush up the script on the second pass. What do we want to share with an audience as far as this particular project? Are you going to want to talk about, if you're going to enter it into contests or if you're going to try and sell it, or what's that process look like to you? Are you going to try and submit it? Are you going to, just what are those next steps? Because we may find someday, I know right now we don't have a lot of viewers, but there may be some people who look at it someday and say, wait, what is this all about? And they may realize it actually applies to them, and they can see the steps that you took, hopefully, to get this from, a beautiful written draft to getting it sold. What does that process look like? And maybe that overlaps with season 2 of this show, because you're not necessarily going to be writing during that time. You may be pitching or stuff like that, but just what is that next, after the script is done, what are those next steps, and how are we going to share that with the audience? That to me is pretty exciting. I know I'm a little bit ahead of where we are now, but you asked me what I'm looking forward to for 2019.
Fantastic.
And then of course sharing with you my thoughts, kind of at our last show about this script and what is next, because I do have some thoughts I do want to share with you about that I think they have a lot of merit. So we'll see
Okay.
how you take it.
All right. Well, I'm
And
going to
you,
talk about my future outlook, but I'm going to stop short of what I wanted to talk about because it sounds like you don't want to talk about it yet. So very quickly.
maybe I missed something.
No, it's fine. I think. Well, whatever. It'll make sense in a second.
Okay.
I foresee that in January, the script will be done. First draft. February, I think our focus will be getting it under 120 pages. If I don't do that as I write,
Yeah.
like I may be rewriting the entire script every week in January just to keep kind of compressing wherever I can, right?
Don't kill yourself, man.
Until
Honestly,
it gets to the end.
don't kill yourself. If we're at 135 or something, don't kill yourself. We'll take care of it.
Ooh, 135.
I'm just saying, don't spend too much time rewriting if you got more new stuff to do. We'll clean it up.
Yeah, well, that's not how I work. That's my process, Brian. This is my process.
I hear you. I just hate to give you double work.
Yeah, I know it sucks. Yeah. Okay. So February, let's say worst case scenario, we spend that month trimming. I don't know how exciting those episodes are going to be for this project. And then March, I would like to wrangle together people like a cast to actually read the entire script. Now, I don't think we need to necessarily go super professional and get actual professional voice actors and like rent out a booth and all that. I think if we can just get everybody on Zoom and just read it, I'll be happy with that.
I think that'd be sweet. I forgot about that. That's gonna be great.
And then we'll do second draft. I think that shouldn't take more than a month. So that puts us at the end of April. After that, I think if the second draft, if we're happy with it, I mean, I feel like this draft that we will have after the first draft is done will actually be pretty far along in the draft process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because of how we've been discussing this every week. So what, May, I think we'll have something that is good enough to be finalized. And then we can start talking about, are we going to do the animatic? Already have like an artist kind of lined up. Are we going to actually try to fund voice actors? And there we are. Beyond that, absolutely, I do want to enter this in screenplay competitions. I do want to pitch it to executives. But, we can talk about what that's going to be like later.
Yeah. Do you recall, you will, when did we actually start this show?
September.
September?
Yeah.
That's great.
Do you remember something? I don't know. All of the words. September.
So what did I not talk about?
So, no, it's not that you didn't talk about it, but it sounds like you want to wait until we're done with this project before we talk about what we would work on for season 2 of this.
Yeah, I guess when we decide to have that conversation is whenever that's going to be. But I'd rather it was to the point at a point where we have this one on its way to being complete.
I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right now it feels like it's too early to talk about it because I don't want to get in your head.
I already have it in my head, Brian.
Well, that's all right. I want to get it out of your head.
Okay. Whatever that means. All right.
Renee, there's a script I want to see.
There's a script you want to see.
Yeah.
You want to see made, done? No, what does that mean?
Written by you.
Oh, so it's something I have not written yet.
Correct.
Oh. Well, I'm just going to kind of like dip my toe into this topic because I want to work on some stuff that I already have done, but just refine it. Like, I feel like this project, what we've done for this brand new property, right? It took a long time. It's taken a long time to get where we are already. And I think if season 2, we make it a little easier on both of us with an existing property that we're familiar with, it might be a better experience. No?
I'm giving you the same look you were giving me about a minute ago.
Okay. Sorry. Don't read into my expressions, Brian. I can see myself, and I just like to make faces at myself. So it has nothing to do with what you're saying. I'm sorry. I don't make listening faces.
You make reaction faces, believe me.
Okay. Well, sometimes.
You did.
Okay.
Well, I'm glad you dipped your toe in there.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
I'm going to because I feel like it's going to turn to a whole other conversation I don't want to have yet.
Damn it.
Because I need to prepare for it, because I know it's going to be when we're going to have to win you over. I'm already preparing for it.
Wow.
I've already made some notes.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Awesome.
I'm
Yes.
trying to think of what this is. It's something I have not written, but you need to win me over to write it.
Right.
So this is not one of my ideas, basically.
It will be.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I think I have an idea of what it is.
Yeah.
This guy.
It's called Gary Glenn Ross. It's a sequel.
All right. So I think we can wrap here.
All right, man.
This was a fulfilling conversation. So let me just plug the site. Here is our site, letswritethismovie.com. I still have to update episode 16 with the video, but this is where you can find new pages every week, typically when it's not Christmas or New Year's. But yes, you click any of these links, you can read the new pages there. And we also have a Twitter account that I am on every day. We are already at 1,517 followers. Can you believe it, Brian?
Whoop, whoop.
And if we can even get 1% of that to watch our YouTube channel, then I will consider that a success.
Then we'll have doubled our...
Exactly. So our handle is @WriteThisMovie. And once again, the way this project works is you read the new pages, you follow along with the story, and you can suggest changes and leave your feedback on our website or YouTube or Twitter, and we will discuss your feedback on this show. Brian.
You can also call me directly at negative.
Brian, is there anything else?
No, man, this is a fun episode. Nice little break in the routine, and I feel like we're almost there, man. So I'm looking forward to the last stretch of new pages.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm also looking forward to returning to writing at some point next month, because I started to do a little of that myself.
Yeah.
As you know, and but with all these other projects, as you're dealing with right now,
Right.
With all these other projects, I had to put that on hold since our last discussion. So it's been month and a half since I've even touched it. So I'm hoping by mid-January I get to pick up a pencil again and start playing around and having some fun on my own.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah, man.
we all look forward to that, Brian.
Well, at
Even
least
if
you do.
I'm the one who ends up writing your story in season 2.
Ooh, I like that.
Is that the idea? Is that what you were getting at, Brian?
Not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. But I like the sound bite.
You like the soundbite?
Yeah, I'm going to write your story in season 2. Great. Just get that embedded. Talk about Inception. Keep that one in there. It'll be your story, believe me.
Okay. I can't wait.
Yeah. Well,
Is it the movie killer story?
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Dude, I love
do
that
like-
idea. Come on.
I do like that one, and that could definitely play a part in this, big time.
So good. All right. Well, that's it for me. Everybody have a happy new year. Stay safe and stay engaged with our project, because this is going to be, we are making history. I'm telling you. If this thing takes off, if my scripts get made, you will have been part of the creative process. So,
Love it.
it's exciting.
Well said.
See you in the next episode.
See you next year.